Welcome to the Horror Geekdom, the dungeon where we geek out on all things horror, thriller, mystery, and suspense. And welcome to episode 1. And this is the first part of this episode, just by way of introduction. Hi, my name's Tom, and thank you so much for joining me on this premiere episode here. Hopefully things will only get better as time goes on, as we grow and evolve into even a better show. Now, this, I thought, what would be a good way to start off with the first podcast? And I thought, well, let's make things easy on me. So this, the audio for this particular episode, is basically in line with my YouTube video. If you go to the Horror Geekdom on YouTube, and of course all the links to all these things and my social media can be found on the show notes on this episode, as always. But basically back, I think in at the time that it was recorded was in July of 2019, I had David Howard Thornton, a.k.a. Art the Clown from the Terrifier movie. And so we recorded that interview with just a few months prior to the whole COVID-19 pandemic shit happening. So keep that in mind. So that will be this episode, the second half. And but don't worry, I got for episode 2, look forward to, I got David Howard Thornton back. And I also brought in Damien Leone, the director, writer, editor, special effects. You know, he wears a lot of different hats. And that interview was recorded a lot recently. So look forward to that in episode 2. And then episode 3, I'm going to start out with just my commentary and reviews of some horror movies. Now, this is going to be done in tandem with some YouTube videos. I think the way I'm approaching it right now is I'm going to reserve the podcast for movies that I have seen numerous times. You could pretty much tell, and it's a foregone conclusion, really, that if I talk about a movie here on the podcast, it's one of my favorites. So I wanted to reserve the podcast for movies like that. That way I could have a lot of things to talk about for my favorite horror movies. And then the YouTube channel videos I'm going to reserve for the new stuff. And now when I say new, I mean new to me. Because let's face it, there may be a movie that was put out in, 1983 or something like that I haven't watched yet. I haven't seen yet for whatever reason. But, the YouTube video movie reviews, you could pretty much rely on those being sort of like I guess you could call them a first impressions review. And once I start doing that, I think I have a unique way of ranking or giving the movies a certain ranking or rating. A lot of podcast or YouTubers out there give it like a grade or a ranking 1 to 10 or something like that, 1 to 5. I think for being different, I think I've come up with a new way that fits with me that I could give a ranking to those movies that I would review on the YouTube channel. But I will leave that as a surprise for all of you to find out when I release my first review. And you can let me know then what you think of it. I think it's pretty neat. But basically, my first horror thriller type movie that I ever saw that I remember and that really affected me was The Changeling, that Canadian movie with George C. Scott. Actually, when I remember when I first saw that, it was actually thunder and lightning outside. We had a big bad thunderstorm outside, and I watched that movie with the lights out. and thunder and stuff, lightning going on outside, rain hitting on the window, and talk about atmosphere. Oh, and that hooked me in pretty good. And then as far as the more, shall we say, drastic horror movies, at least the drastic to me at this time. I mean, at this point, I think I've kind of been numb to it. But back then, I was babysitting my nephew, and I was a teenager, and my nephew, I think, was maybe 10 years old, couldn't be older than 10, which actually thinking back, probably wasn't a good idea to rent The Evil Dead and watch that with my little nephew. But, you know, insanity runs in my family, so my nephew really ate that up. And I thought it was one of the greatest movies I ever saw. And, of course, you know, with the sequels and the remake of The Evil Dead, I liked that one. And then, of course, you gotta mention the series Ash versus Evil Dead. I was a big fan of that. So anything Bruce Campbell. I remember meeting Bruce Campbell at the Mad Monster Party, and my goodness, you would have thought there was a rock star there, because there was a girl behind me in line waiting to get their picture taken with Bruce, and she was, oh my God, I thought she was going to pass out. She was so excited, and when she saw Bruce walking through the crowd to take his place to where they were taking the photographs, she damn near fainted. She just started screaming. You thought the Beatles or something like that were walking through the crowd. But yeah, just the visceral reaction that people had to these stars that we've grown to love and support. And the cool thing about some of these monster and horror cons that I found out is that there's very little egos involved with the talent and the stars there. I mean, I have rubbed elbows with the likes of, Sid Haig, God rest his soul. He even got to meet the I forget his name, and even if I do remember his name, I'm not going to butcher the pronunciation. But I got to meet and talk a bit with the man who was the original Godzilla. Yeah, those little Godzilla rubber suits they had. I got to meet the Japanese actor who was in those Godzilla rubber suits back when the early movies of Godzilla was made. So anyway, that's just a little bit about me. And so let's go on to the interview with David Howard Thornton, a.k.a. Art the Clown from Terrifier. And thank you so much for downloading and listening. And I'll just tell you more about myself in later episodes. I don't want to, dump a whole bunch of stuff on you. Save some of the good and the better things later, yeah. So let's go to that interview right now, shall we? All right. Welcome, all you horror geeks out there. I am very privileged and honored to have as my very first guest on the channel none other than David Howard Thornton, a.k.a. everybody's nightmare, Art the Clown from Terrifier. David, how the hell are you, man?
I'm doing great. I'm honored to be your first guest. Awesome. I didn't know that. That's awesome.
Yeah. I have one other video. Actually, my second video. My first video is I did like a little page by page turn of the Fangoria magazine. So, but this is, and I've yet to do an actual movie review type thing. So, but you are my very first guest, and I remember it was a Mad Monster Party in Charlotte, North Carolina. Was it this past March or so, or whatever it was? And
back in March.
Yep. I had been, this is probably like the fourth or fifth party that I've been to. So a lot of the guests there, I already had like photographs with and autographs and stuff like that. But when I heard that you were going to be there, it was like, okay, that's the price of just the admission of the ticket. I want to, so I was only there, I think it was, I don't know, it was Friday night, I guess it was. And I only had a ticket for Friday night. I was like, okay, so I went in there and I was like, okay, where's Art? And I'm looking around, so I'm going around all the vending rooms, and sure enough, I saw you and Damien sitting there, and I may have to get Damien on because I passed right by Damien and I went right to your table. It was like, oh, fuck this guy. I'm going to go talk to this Art the Clown. And got my picture. So,
he just blended into the background. Poor Damien. Oh, bless his heart.
Don't worry, Damien. If you want to be on, I'll more than happy to have you on the show. But yeah, but it's but you were very and one of the cool things, and I'm sure you've noticed this with going to these cons and seeing all these other guests, is like I have yet to meet someone. There are no egos in that room.
No.
Everybody is very nice. They're very cordial and wanting to. And it's not like one of these things where it's like it's a concert where there's a good 20 or so feet from the fans to the stage. No, it's like you're sitting across the table with you and others, and it's just. I mean, I think it's just the proximity and just the being able to approachability of you and all the other guests that in the horror genre that is just so welcoming and so I don't know, just so charming. I think it's So
thank you. I that's what my experience has been too. Is like it's so funny meeting these men and women that I grew up watching in like horror films, especially the guys, like Kane Hodder and like C.J. Graham and all those guys. You're used to seeing them doing these horrible things to people, and in real life they're just like the biggest teddy bears. So it's just like, oh, they're so sweet.
That's so true. I mean, it's I don't know. I guess and of course we're going to talk about Terrifier and Terrifier 2, at least for what you're able to share, because now has Terrifier 2 been started filming yet, or?
No, we're going to start filming in late October.
Okay, but at the time that we're recording this, actually the day we're recording this, it is 100 days till Halloween. So, woo-wee. But right now, Terrifier 2 is on Indiegogo, and I checked earlier today, and as of today, what is it, July 23rd, you're just a few dollars shy of $148,000.
That's amazing.
So
it's so appreciated because we still don't have like a $1 million budget like by any means, for like typical movies you would see in a theater. So like every dime that we've been able to raise so far has been so appreciated because it's going to help us do a lot of things with this film. So and that's the hard thing about being an independent film. You don't have a huge studio behind you just giving you money. So it's like yeah.
So, and just with the Terrifier, it shows the love of the craft and the genre is on there, and the movie shows that. I would say I would be shocked if not every dollar that was raised was put on that screen. I mean, you see it all there that it's because of the practical effects, Now, Damien, he wore quite a few hats in that movie.
Oh yeah. I don't know how he kept his sanity.
I don't understand it. But anyway, now getting back to you, of course we're going to talk about Terrifier, but I always like to get sort of like the
the background? What led up to the role that we all know you as? So I mean, you were born in Huntsville, Alabama. You do stage work. You do, of course, acting, film, and voiceover.
Correct.
So what was it that inspired you to pursue acting? What was it that you saw or read or is like, okay, that's what I want to do?
Well, I grew up doing like community theater, especially like church theater growing up really little. And it was not really until I was in middle school. I got bullied relentlessly in middle school, and I was just not happy. I mean, growing up in the South, I was a skinny little nerd with glasses and braces with a high-pitched voice because I didn't hit puberty until I was 16. So easy target. And I was really short at the time, too, because, like I said, not hitting puberty yet. So I got, like, bullied relentlessly. And it was, like, my 8th grade year for the choral program that I was part of. I was a boy soprano at the time. They did Mickey's Christmas Carol. And I got cast as Mickey Mouse, or Bob Cratchit, in the show. And it was this night that we were performing there in front of the whole entire school that things started to go wrong on stage. Like part of the set fell down on top of Scrooge and I. Oh. And I just started improvising and just making up all these funny lines. And I had the whole crowd just eating out of the palm of my hand. And it was like the first time I actually had like the school laughing with me instead of at me.
Yes.
And it just kind of clicked. I'm like, I like this. I like this power that I have. I'm in control right now, finally. I'm able to bring happiness to people, and it feels good, and I like this feeling. And that's when I want to keep doing this. So I did that all through high school. I did a lot of community theater. But when I went to college, I was trying to be very practical with my life. And so I got a degree in teaching. And it wasn't until my mom passed away from cancer when I was in one of my last semesters in college that I had a whole epiphany about what I wanted to do with my life. And it was in my final semester when I was doing my internship in the schools. I realized I was getting more enjoyment out of entertaining my students during story time, doing all these funny voices, and I actually got out of teaching them. And I'm like, I think I want to change my course in life, and talked to my dad about it, and he totally agreed, which surprised me because my dad is a NASA engineer and a very pragmatic person, and I expected that long speech. I was like, oh no, acting's not a very stable career path. And he was like, oh no, your mom and I always thought that this is what you should do with your life. We just don't want to tell you what to do with your life. Yeah, and he's like, go on, why don't you finish up your degree, take a year or so, raise some money, and then move to New York. And that's what I did.
Wow, that's great to have that support foundation right there from the very beginning. That's great. So, what was the very first acting gig that you had?
Oh gosh, probably one of my very first ones that I really remember, because I did a lot of church theater and stuff like that. So a lot of plays about Jesus. But I think
Art the Clown.
Yeah, Moses and the Freedom Fanatics, stuff like that. But I think my very first role that I had outside of church theater was when I was in preschool. We did the play of the carrot seed of the book, and I played the carrot and the seed. So non-speaking role. But that was a show where I had everybody laughing their heads off, because it was like, I remember I had the green thing on my head for like the carrot for like, the stem. And I'm having to lay there perfectly still, and the green thing kept going to my face. And I just kept going, doing the little and I had everybody laughing, and I just started playing it up more, just trying to get everybody laughing. And I just started goofing around on stage. And I was like, I think that's even then. I think I know it's like, I like this. I like this.
It's wild. Now, when you do like voiceover work, and because obviously people don't see, they're hearing your voice, but they're not seeing you. But when you're in the booth doing the voices, how is that stuff? Do you still do like the physical acting to get the character going, or how do you do that?
I go full out. I'm like, I swear, if someone was set up a camera in there to watch me while I record stuff, they would think I was insane. Because I'm doing all kinds of faces, I'm jumping around, all that kind of stuff. Especially like when I'm having to do chases, I actually run in place, and I'm doing the punches if I have to do fight scenes. So I try to do as much physicality as I can, just because it helps me get more into character that way.
Okay, all right.
Yep.
I'm sure as that actor, there's a lot of competition out there, and a lot of people vying for the same roles. Or was there ever a time during your career where it's like, you know what, maybe I don't want to do this. This is too hard. The rejection is just. Am I even on the right path? And obviously you didn't give up, but what did you do, or what did you do not to give up? What to keep that passion of acting and the love for acting keep burning, to keep you moving forward?
That's a good question. I've never been asked that one before. Because I've been up here for 13 years now in New York doing this, and it's. I mean, of course, you face a lot of rejection in this field. There's more rejection than acceptance, I think. But I mean, like, I've just never let it get to me, because I've always felt that this is what I was supposed to do with my life. And I know I have some unique talents, and it's just like, I look at it this way. It's like, even the auditions that I go in and I don't get what I'm going in for, I look at it as an experience to still be in front of a casting director and get seen, and so they're familiar with me. So I just go in there and I just give it my all every single time. And that's how I look at it. It's like, you know what, maybe I didn't get it this time, but that person might remember me. And it has happened before where the casting director didn't cast me in one thing, but they call me in later down. I was like, hey, I think this would be perfect for you. And that's how I look at it. It's like, it's just any other job interview. It's like, yeah, you didn't get this one, but just keep going. You're eventually, something's going to happen, especially if you got the skills to do it. Great. And that's how I looked at it. It's like, I kind of always knew that I'm a character guy, and I always kind of told myself, like, my real career is not really going to start until I'm in my late 30s, early 40s. Because like a lot of the roles for guys, that when I was in my 20s were like the big, strong, hunky types and those kind of roles, and I'm like, yeah, no, I'm not that type. I'm the character guy. I'd rather have that kind of longevity anyway, where I could be going on until my 90s doing these kind of roles instead. So that's how I looked at it too. It's like, yeah, my career's not going to start till later, and I was kind of right. So
okay, all right.
So yeah, it's just, you just got to keep. If it's something you're passionate about and you can't imagine doing anything else with your life, then that's what kept me going. I was just like, I know this is what I'm supposed to do. It's just like other people just haven't discovered that yet.
Okay, all right. Yeah, I've listened to some of the other interviews and stuff like that, because like I don't want to keep asking them the same questions over and every other Tom, Dick, and Harry asks them. So I'm thinking of other questions that nobody's asked you. So
yeah, that's a good question.
But now I'm going to start. Now I'm going to go to a question that you have been asked, just for continuity wise.
Continuity,
yeah, there we go. So, all right, so. All Hallows Eve, that came out in 2013,
correct.
And then Terrifier came out to 2016. Now, they had
we actually came out officially. We came out in 2018. I think they say 2016 because we did a rough cut showing in Telluride, Colorado, for a film festival. I think that's why people say 2016. Okay. But we officially released in 2018.
Okay, all right. Now they had a different actor for All Hallows Eve for Art the Clown. He was sort of like the bookend type. Okay, so tell us about how you got involved with being Art the Clown with when Terrifier was getting developed.
Well, that happened back in 2015 around this time, and it was when I had been auditioning for months. I decided to just take a few months off of my last tour with How the Grinch Stole Christmas, the musical, and live off the unemployment I had from that, and just auditioned. And I had been up for about 4 or 5 different Broadway tours where I was in the final callbacks. And every time they fell through, and I was like, oh, something's got to give here. Something's got to give. It goes back to that last question about perseverance. And I came across this audition notice one day on a website looking for a tall, skinny guy that has clowning or physical comedy experience to play Art the Clown. And I was familiar with the role anyway from All Hallows Eve. So I was like, oh, my God, yes. I know this character. I can totally play him. This is totally, because I remember seeing All Hallows Eve. I was like, he's like an evil Mr. Bean. I would love to play that kind of character. And I'm like, well, here's my shot. So I got on the phone with my reps. I'm like, you have got to submit me for this. I guarantee I can knock this one out of the park. Something feels so right about this. And the rest is history. And I just went in for that audition, and I had to improv a whole kill scene off the top of my head where I decapitated a guy. And I guess my improv for that scene cemented me for the role. So it's important for every actor to have some kind of improv training, because you never know when you're going to be thrown into one of those type of situations. And you can actually see that audition online now. I think Damien posted it a few months ago. So it's out there for everybody. But I look back at like those other Broadway shows that I had auditioned for. If I had gotten any of those, I wouldn't have either been able to audition for Terrifier, or I wouldn't have been able to film Terrifier. So everything worked out the way it was supposed to. The universe, I've sometimes just learned to trust in the universe and things, and I'm like, okay, something's supposed to happen here, and and I think I'm better off.
Definitely.
I got a film career now, so I was like, yeah.
Now, have you have you seen the movie in like a crowd with other people? And usually when I watch a movie, I'll say, "Oh, this is really great," and then I'll tell my friends about it. And then when I watch the movie with them, I'm not watching a movie. I already know what happens. I'm getting more entertainment from watching them react to it. Oh, you know. So what's it like to be able to sit down, see the movie in its finished form, and just seeing and even just at the cons, how people come up to you and tell you what their favorite scenes are. What does it feel like when it's like, my God, all that work we put into it is like, and it's paying off.
It feels absolutely great. I've loved it. I'm like, Damien hates watching the movie. I think it's because he's seen it so many times himself in the editing room. So he's like, but anytime there's a screening, I always like to go to the screening, so because I love to watch the audience's reactions to things. It's because the audience respond at different times to different things. It's really interesting. Like we've had sometimes when I pull out the gun, they freak out, they scream. Other times they start laughing, and it's just like, this is hilarious. So like I love seeing these reactions. I remember one time we did a screening last year in New Jersey at a college. And Catherine, who played Dawn in the film, the blonde, she's sitting next to me. And when it gets to her infamous scene, these two girls got up and walked out. They're just like, oh, God. And we turned to each other and high-fived each other. We're like, yes, we got them. We got them.
We got them. Wow. And yeah, let me you bring up a good, I mean, everybody, a good movie always has, that scene. Yeah. That alien, the thing bursting out of the chest, and Hereditary, the daughter's telephone pole head thing. So, if for those of you who didn't see Hereditary yet, spoilers.
Oops.
Sorry.
It's the best part of the movie anyway.
Don't worry about it.
On.
And every lost footage film that you see, everybody dies. Once the cameraman dies, that's it. That's the end of the movie, because there's no one left to hold the camera. But Dawn's scene. But I think another scene that really shocked me, I think I think kind of pissed some people off too, was the gun, to him resorting to a gun, because now whose idea was the gun?
Oh, that was totally Damien's. He was like, because he'd never. I mean, guns have been used in a few slashers before, but he's like, he thought this was something new that people were not going to expect at all.
Well, yeah,
especially from a killer clown, you're expecting him to do something else, like maybe pull like I don't know, acid flour out or something like that, squirt her in the face. It's like no, he's got the gun there. He knows expecting the gun.
Yeah, that was a that came out of left field for me, because it was like, I mean, because a lot of the slashers, it's like, yeah, you mentioned they've used firearms in the past. But they always kind of like, especially the there's something, I don't know, almost impersonal about the firearm. Because if you're dealing with a knife and a hatchet or whatever, scalpel, you're getting real down. You're invading that person's space. And you're getting really intimate, and so to actually just resort to a firearm, and then just his reaction of like the damn thing jams is like, oh god, and he walks off. And that's the other thing I really like, because there's one scene, I think I forgot the character's name, but she I think she stabs you in the foot or something like that, and you scream, but even your scream is mimed.
Yeah.
So that's just so. But so let's talk about that scene. So what was it like? Maybe we need to have her on the show. So I don't know, but I hear some war stories of what it was like that on set, with it being so damn cold. And just the plaster or the full body mold or something like that. Oh God.
Yeah, she went through hell. I mean, like, first of all, talk about the mold. Is like the day that they were supposed to like make the body cast of her. It was a full body cast except for her face. They did a separate mold for that. But like she came down. Apparently, she put too much of the releasing agent on, so it was like glopping up everywhere. So it wouldn't cast very well, so they told her to take some off, but she took too much of it off. So when they were trying to get her out of the thing, it's like it just would not come off of her, so they had to slowly pry her out of it. Took, they said, about an hour just to get her out of that mold. And they almost had to take her to the ER because they just didn't know if they're going to get her out.
Oh God. Well,
that's just like, oh, that's horrible. That's absolutely horrible. But then they had, like, the night that we were filming with her, I mean, that was already bad enough because she was literally hanging upside down. We'd only let her hang upside down for 30 seconds at a time, and they would swing her back up into this apparatus we built so she wasn't constantly doing that. But still, she got sick off of that alone because of the blood rushing back to her. I think she had some inner ear problems for a few days. And plus, it was about 20 degrees that night because we had no heat in that room, because it actually had a hole in the ceiling, so the elements, we got that going on.
Even with even with the lightings and stuff like that, how hot did the lights get? As far as
not nearly as enough. It was so cold in that room. It was so cold, and I was cold. I know she was even more cold because she's completely naked and covered in all that blood too. It's just like that was just horrible for her. So yeah, but she didn't complain at all. She was such a trooper.
Wow. I hope she got paid a little extra for that.
I hope so.
Oh, my goodness. Well, moving on to talk about makeup is like I decades ago, I used to do mystery dinner theater type thing where people would come and have like a 3-course meal and watch. We would play out this mystery, and people try to solve the mystery. And in between, while people are eating their food, we'd go around. We would actually as the actors, we'd be playing these scenes, but we also were the servers. So we'd be coming out and serving people food and improv and interacting with people and, asking, answering questions, stuff like that. But, usually when we did stuff like that, it was like maybe 5 or 6 weeks of nothing but rehearsals. Right. And then one dress rehearsal before the actual opening thing. But I swear, by time of all the rehearsals, I was so sick of I was so sick and bored with that. It was like I'd wake up in a cold sweat, yelling my lines. I was like, oh no, Joe, oh okay. But for dress rehearsal, it was just like we would do, it would do something in Victoria, England, or Civil War days, or we did one where we were in the 30s, gangsters. But once we put on that costume, everything was fresh, everything was new again. Yeah. And it just gave a real shot in the armor, revitalized our love for, okay, this is gonna be cool. Oh yeah, we're excited about doing, and we just gave new life to that. We were coming up with shit that we didn't even come up with during rehearsals. Yeah. Just in the fact of putting on that costume.
It's amazing what that does for you. It's so magical. Like, you put on that costume and the makeup, and it just boom, you're in the character.
And now, I'm sure did you experience that when you finally saw yourself in the mirror with the finished makeup? It's like, oh yeah, okay, bam. There's just something that just clicks in your head. It's like, okay, I could feel this.
That's exactly how I've always been like that as an actor, because growing up, I did a lot of children's theater, and I usually had some crazy makeup jobs in those shows, playing different animals and stuff like that. So that's like one thing I would always do, is like sit in front of the mirror for about 30 minutes and just make faces and just see how everything read. And as soon as I was in that makeup, it really helped me solidify the character. So it was like, as soon as I put on that makeup and put in the teeth and the contacts and the hat and the shoes on and the gloves on, I'm art. It's easy. But I mean, I can turn it on, turn it off, but it's just like, when I'm like that, I can just easily just get into the character. It just helps me so much.
Wow. Now, how long did it take to get the makeup on and take it off?
On set, it took about 3 to 4 hours, but now we've gotten down to about 2.5 hours.
Okay. All right. Yeah. Was there ever a time when you're sitting in that chair for, it was like, God, I'm so. Why did I sign up? What did I sign up for? It's like, I gotta take a piss. Come on. I was like, what?
I remember that happening, like maybe midway through. I'm like, oh my God, how many more times do I have to do this? Yeah, so like it was like one of those days. It was like we'd already been shooting for 3 or 4 days straight, and I was just extremely tired. Both Damien and I are like, he's like, just the X amount of times now. I'm like, okay, we can do this. It's all for the fans. It's all for the fans.
It's all for the love of the craft.
It's gonna be worth it. It's gonna be worth it.
Did you ever find it, it's like time like that is like your performances like that maybe they're turned up a bit because you have some more emotion to draw from and just, okay, well, let's okay, I'm really happy, or I'm really pissed off, or something like that, and let's just okay, there's just something more that comes out from inside you to I don't know.
Oh yeah, I think sometimes the delirium really helped too. Okay, it helped me get to that insane state at times where it's like, okay, I'm just so delirious right now, so of course that's going to read so much better. Okay. With the madness behind the character.
Now, how much of now I'm sure with Damien wearing so many hats for the show, doing your makeup and practical effects, so you were able to spend a lot of one-on-one time with him, even offset while you were in the makeup chair, right?
Correct.
So, did you spend that time just kind of banging ideas off of him, or it's like, okay, what if Art did this, or how much of his performance was scripted versus improv?
I would say about I would say about 70% scripted, 30% improv. It depended on the scene.
Okay.
Yeah. Like the diner scene, I would say it was about 50-50 scripted improv.
All right.
So yeah, there's certain scenes where he let me play around, and like this next script's going to be a lot more of that, I think, which is going to be fun.
Okay.
Because when he wrote the first script, he didn't know what I was like as an actor because he hadn't met me yet. Now he knows what I'm like as an actor. So while he was writing the second script, the two of us would bounce ideas off each other. We still do that, where we're still coming up with ideas to add to the script, or for the third script, we're even coming up with ideas for that too. And it's fun to be able to bounce ideas off of each other like that.
Okay. Now I've never been on an independent movie. I've usually done just like dinner theater or stage stuff, but I would think on an independent movie there's rehearsal time, or a little rehearsal time of what you could do, and then shoot, and then take so many takes and stuff like that. It was now. Did you have opportunities to say, after you film something, it's like, okay, take whatever, cut, okay, and it's like, well, Damien, could I try that again and try this over here or stuff like that, or was it?
Oh yeah.
Okay.
Yeah, there was a lot of that where I was like, I would, like, hey, let's try this. I got an idea. Let me try this with this. Just let's film to see how this comes out. Or sometimes we just had happy accidents filming too that made it into the film, like me crashing on the bicycle and stuff like that. That was a real crash. I was crashing on that damn thing so much. It was just like because it was so hard to ride. I'm so big, and I would just fall over sideways sometimes.
Like, you got these knees up into your chin.
Yeah. It was kind of like, who was it? Like Artie Johnson on Laugh-In back when he was riding a little tricycle around. He would fall over sideways. That's what it reminded me of. It was like, okay.
I remember that.
Yeah. That's. And then when I flick Samantha's character Victoria off, that was a purely accidental thing because it had already said cut, and she was coming back to set, and so I was flicking her off, just goofing around with her, like, oh great, now we have to do this again. You fucked up, and I'm flicking her off. And they just the whole crew just started laughing their heads off, and like, oh, we're gonna keep that because it works so well with the character. Just like this is a perfectly natural reaction for him to be like, screw you.
Now the pizzeria that you guys filmed in, is that like an actual pizzeria there in New York? Okay. Yeah, Okay,
they're like, "This is the pizzeria from Terrifier."
Now, all right. So we talked a little bit about Terrifier, and all right, I'm gonna kind of tiptoe into Terrifier 2. You saw the script, right? The script is done? Okay.
Yes, it's done.
All right. Is there going to be much? I'm sure it's going to be more of the same, if not more, and just done better and bigger and better.
Yeah.
But
we're being a lot more ambitious with this one.
Okay. All right. Very good. And but is there? Do we do like a backstory? It's a sequel? It comes. It happens after the first movie, right?
Yeah.
Okay.
It happens. It takes place directly after the first movie.
Okay.
So yeah. But there might be some clues into his past in this one, but we're not going full on like revealing his origins yet.
Okay. All right. So now the end of Terrifier, it kind of has this supernatural thing of it where he gets resurrected from the dead. And I mean, Terrifier being what it is, I mean, it's not a highfalutin, nose in the air type of movie. It's a like a grindhouse style movie. There's no plot. There's no plot.
No.
Other than a clown going around killing people, and the characters
like
are there to be killed by Art the Clown, and that's
like the old slashers back in the days. Like I like to tell people, it's like, tell me right off the top of your head, what was the plot from Friday the 13th Part 5? Go.
It's
Jason killed a bunch of campers. So I'm like, yep.
It's like, what's my motivation?
Yeah. It's just like,
you want to kill people.
People don't really go into slashers for the plot as much as they are there for the fun. That was our homage to those. But yeah, we're bringing more plot into this one, I would say.
Okay. Well, I say that to lead up to this here, and I don't know if maybe I'm thinking more, I'm putting more thought into it than it needs to be. But the one thing that I thought was interesting was that at the very end, I mean, the cops have Art the Clown says like, okay, freeze, and he's reaching into his ankle, and I'm thinking he's going to pull out a knife or something like that. But he pulls out another firearm.
Yeah.
And I thought he was going to shoot the cops, but no, he kills himself.
Yeah, he was going out on his own terms.
So one of the things that I was wondering when I watched it, and I thought about this maybe like the third or fourth time I watched the movie, was like, all right, well, Art the Clown comes back to life in the morgue. He gets resurrected. Mm-hmm. I'm wondering has he been resurrected before? Is this like his third or fourth life? And the movie that we've seen in Terrifier is like his 20th life now, and he's shot himself or got killed in numerous times in the past, and he knew he was going to get resurrected later on. So I don't know. Maybe I'm thinking more into it than I need to, but but that's one of the things that I was like,
yeah.
So.
Indeed.
So anyway, so we got now. How many victims is Art going to have? Is he going to have more victims?
Yeah,
but number wise, we're going to have like a countdown. How many victims are
there's going to be more victims in this one for sure.
Okay, excellent.
Oh yeah.
So we're going to be. You guys are going to film in the fall, and then do you guys know when the film's going to be released and how it's going to be released? Is it going to be in theaters or VOD or what? How's it going to be distributed?
Yeah, we don't know all that yet. We're hoping to release in October of 2020. I think. I think that's our goal, to release around Halloween then, because this one takes place on Halloween as well. So that's our goal. We would love to put it in theaters. It just depends on what kind of distribution we get for it and what we can get away with. Because you never know with those rating boards, because that's like one of the reasons that we didn't get released in theaters, because we had some people that wanted to distribute us in theaters, but they wanted to make some cuts to, like, the hacksaw scene and stuff like that. We're like, absolutely not. And I'm glad we stuck to our guns there, because I don't think people would have liked the movie nearly as much if we had cut out a lot of the violence and the gore in it.
Yeah, and it's that's certainly the give and take type of thing with once you get studios involved and stuff like that. It's like, okay, well, we have the purse string, so we want you to make these cuts and changes, stuff like that. With independent, it seems like we can do whatever the hell we want. Yeah. So, alrighty. So thank you so much. Well, I went out to another question I want to ask you. Mm-hmm. Other than Terrifier stuff, is there anything else that you got going that's coming down the pipeline?
I got a few irons in the fire right now, but nothing solid yet. I'm still working on my web series called Nightwing Escalation, where I play the Joker on that. So that's still going on right now. We're waiting for our Batgirl keeps getting pregnant, so we have to wait for her to recover from having this baby before we can film. But that should happen soon.
Okay.
Yeah.
Alrighty. Well, I before we started recording, I went out to to social media and said, "Hey, I am interviewing Art the Clown tonight. Is there any questions you guys, gals, are just dying to have answered?" And I got a few. So let's see here. Okay, on Twitter, we got MMA Dude, and he asked, "Will Art speak in the sequel?"
No.
No? Okay. Let me kind of tag on to this. If Art wasn't a mime, now is he a clown or is he a mime?
He is a clown. This is something I always like to point out to people because people get confused about that. He's a silent clown.
Okay.
The difference between silent clowns and mimes are mimes use... Oh, actually, silent clowns use props. Mimes do not. They pantomime everything. That's why they're called mimes.
Okay.
Yeah.
All right. So if Art did have a voice, what do you think he would sound like?
I think it would be funny if you just sound like a normal person.
Okay.
That's not what anybody would expect. If you just sound like, hey, how are you doing? I'm a clown.
All right. Also from Twitter, Michelle Drosdork. What role would David like to play more than anything?
Oh, that's easy. The Joker, by
the
far.
Joker.
I would love to play him on a TV series or something like that, so I could really spend time just with the character. It would be fun playing him in a movie. But with a TV series, you have the possibility of playing him for multiple seasons and multiple episodes, so you really can take your time to really develop the character, other than just doing it for a 2-hour film. And that's what I'd really like to do with, because he's such a dynamic character, and there's so much I would like to really dig in deep with him. So that would be a fun one. I mean, there's that on stage. I would love to play. I've been screaming for this forever, from them to do a live action or stage adaptation of The Nightmare Before Christmas, because I would love to play Jack Skellington in that.
Okay.
That would be so much fun. And yeah, that I would love them to do a reboot of The Mask. And do it like the actual comic book, the old Dark Horse comics, where it was dark and gritty and it was almost like a horror type of comic. It was very gory. And I'm like, that would be fun. That would be so much fun to reboot it like that now. And I think it would work this day and age. I think Deadpool proved that.
Yeah.
Where you could have that really over-the-top crazy humor, but also that gore and violence in there too.
Yeah, definitely. Yeah, that'll be cool.
Yeah.
All right. Also from Twitter, we got Olivia. Mm-hmm. Now, I've no idea what she's referring to here, so hopefully this rings a bell. What's the story behind the Gallagher sledge-o-matic and marbles on stage incident?
Well, I don't know if you can see it on camera. I have to. There we go. But you see this big, huge scar on my arm. I have it on both sides of my arm. And then I have a scar about right here on my arm where bone came out. Back when I was a freshman year in high school, back in 1994, the comedian Gallagher was in my hometown. And he was doing his show, and he asked for a member of the audience to come up on stage and help him with the sledge-o-matic routine. And if you are not familiar with Gallagher, he's the guy that smashes the watermelons.
Yep.
So the sledge-o-matic, he has this big, huge sledgehammer. He's smashing watermelons and other things of food and stuff like that. So my job was to help him put different plates of whatever in front of him for him to smash. Well, the stage is really slippery, and there were marbles and stuff like that used from something else that he had done on stage earlier. So I'm going around. I had put a plate on there, and I slipped and fell and broke my arm. I had a compound fracture on my arm. And I come up, and I'm like, I look like I had 2 elbows on the same arm. It was bad. And I just look at him and go, I broke my arm. And so I had to go to the hospital. I had metal plates in my arm for a little while there. And
wow.
That kind of made me like that. That kind of made me a little bit of a celebrity and stopped a lot of the bullying I had in high school, because it happened right at the beginning of Christmas break. So when I came back from Christmas break, everybody knew about me because I was all in the newspapers, both in my hometown. But I made newspapers worldwide. I was mentioned on TV talk shows, all this kind of stuff, and so it made me a little bit of a celebrity there. So yeah. That was my first time, really interacting that kind of capacity with stardom. So I was like, this is cool.
That's what.
Yeah, I don't even know if Leo would remember that. Now I'm like, if he would remember me from all that, because that was so long ago now. It was like 25 years ago.
Oh, wow.
Yeah.
So, all right. That was it for Twitter. Now over to Facebook. Let's see here. We got Brooke Cole, and she wanted me to ask if you enjoyed wearing all that makeup.
Oh boy. It could be annoying at times, but you get used to it. I like, after about an hour or so, I was totally used to it. So it really. Oh, I got the hiccups all of a sudden. Oh boy. But yeah, I got used to it, so it wasn't so bad.
Okay. And then John Ruff, this is an interesting question. What is Art the Clown's favorite flavor of face?
Favorite flavor of face? Head cheese.
Head cheese, okay. Well, David, thank you so much for coming on, and it was a pleasure meeting you at Mad Monster Party. It was just an honor and privilege to have you on the show, and just thank you for your time and your generosity. I just appreciate it very much. So now, if you have a few minutes more, you have a video on your YouTube channel. And I'll put a link in the description down below, down there somewhere.
Yeah.
Where you do, I think it's like 100 or so voice impersonations in like 8 minutes or something like that. Well, I'm not going to do all 100, but I saw that video, so I picked out maybe like a dozen or so of some of my favorites. So to kind of, if people haven't seen that yet, just kind of whet their appetite of like, because you do voice acting too, and
yes.
So for those of you watching at home, just close your eyes and kind of as I say the character's name, just close your eyes, just listen, and to hear how close the impersonation is. All right. Now, this first one should be pretty easy because you were in this musical for 5 tours or 4 or 5 tours, The Grinch?
Yeah.
All right. Well,
yes.
Let's start out with The Grinch.
Yes, The Grinch, of course not. We have to start with him. Oh, Max, get over here. It's more like, these hoes down in Whoville, there's always the noise. How I hate it. This Christmas has got to stop. But how?
Okay. And Golem.
Golem, yes. Yes. No one likes you. You're a liar and a thief. Murderer. Not listening. Get him.
That's excellent.
Oh,
Professor Farnsworth.
Okay.
it's been a while since I've done this one. Oh boy, I'm like, God knows everyone.
That's good. Kermit the Frog.
Oh, hi there, Kermit the Frog here, speaking to you live from Daily Muppet News. Yay!
Yoda.
Yes, Yoda. Yes.
How close is Yoda to Grover, though?
Oh, it's basically almost the same thing. It's like, Grover's just a little less goofy, I guess, in that way, where he's more like, near.
Yeah.
Far. Near. Far.
Then you take it a little bit lower, and you got Cookie Monster with the little, yeah.
Okay.
Yeah. Ah!
That's excellent. Beavis and Butthead.
Hey, Beavis. Yeah, what is it? We're on a podcast. Isn't that cool?
I'm the great Con Hollywood. I need TV on my bunghole.
I'm having fun. I don't know about you at home, but I'm having fun. Sean Connery.
Oh, yes. Sean Connery, yes. Yes, the penitent patent. I can't talk all of a sudden. I got a lisp. The penitent man shall pass. Junior! You think I was going to do James Bond. That's the thing. Indiana Jones. Yes. And my last movie was A League of Extraordinary Gentlemen. What the fuck? What was I thinking there?
Yeah, he's got to come back at least one time just to like, I don't know, redeem that one.
Yes. Yes. Someone should have slapped me.
Well, it was, at least it wasn't Genghis Khan.
Oh, yeah, that's true.
So, yeah. Okay. Mario.
Mario, it's me, Mario. Woohoo! Yes. Oh, Mario. Luigi, what are you doing here? Mario, I'm scared. Oh, don't be scared, Luigi. We're gonna have fun. Let's go.
Yogi Bear.
Hey, Bobo, let's get us a picnic basket, hey.
But Yogi, Mr. Ranger won't like that.
Oh, shut up, you stupid little bear. Hey, I'm hungry. I'm losing my mind.
Donald Duck.
Oh, boy. Okay. This is a hard one to do. I cannot do it nearly as well as Tony and Selma, who does it, because he's a little bit higher in pitch. But let's see here.
Wow. That's one.
Oh, boy. Come on, Donald. You gotta calm down there. You're gonna blow a gasket. Yeah.
George, Donald, you're kind of crazy over there.
Elmer Fudd.
Be very, very quiet. I'm hunting rabbits.
And then finally, Porky Pig.
That's all, folks.
and that is all, folks. Thank you for watching. David, thank you so much for being on, and I appreciate it very much. It was so much fun.
Oh, you're welcome. You're welcome.
And thank you for downloading this episode and listening to it. Now, if you'd like to watch that interview, just go to the Horror Geekdom YouTube channel, and you could see David Howard Thornton and my ugly mug. And while we're at it, go ahead and subscribe to the podcast, subscribe to the channel, and give us a like. Share the love of horror with all your horror geeks out there. And until then, next time, this is Horror Geekdom signing off.